Hey everyone, and welcome back to Don't Open That Door. We are at it once again with another indie double trouble feature. Dan, it's been a minute since we did this, isn't it?
It has been a minute.
And we're leading off with Bakemono. So this was written and directed by Jorge Lucas and Sumire Takamatsu, starring Shio Muramatsu as Okasan, Claudia Fabella as Ayumi, Daisuke Suzuki as Otosan, and Sherry Q and Aaron Yuki Yang as the Bakemono. I apologize if I butchered any names there whatsoever. So we open with a family on February 3rd, also known as Setsubun in Japan. On this day, families throw soybeans as kind of a means to cast out evil spirits from the household and invite good luck. A little girl, Ayumi, is having dinner with her mother and father, Okasan and Otosan, and her mother speaks to her about, the whole tradition and the bakemono, or monsters kind of / evil spirits. Ayumi doesn't really put stock in the tradition, though, of casting out the monster, and she doesn't throw the soybeans, thinking that some of the bakemono might be sad. I mean, what do you think, Nico?
I think that's fucking adorable, and I kind of don't blame the kid, but later that night, Ayumi sets food out for the bakemono, stating that it's a gift. The food is quickly consumed, and Ayumi gets some more for the monster. And the bakemono appears, and it indicates that it still wants more, despite eating all the food Ayumi set out, which was a fair amount of food, like a ton of rice and entire bottles of Kewpie mayonnaise. The bakemono rushes Ayumi, and the screen cuts to black.
Well, that's normally a very positive sign, right, Dan?
Actually, I don't think it usually is, Justin. And definitely not in this case. The following morning, Ayumi's parents arrived to see her waiting at the breakfast table, speaking very politely and seemingly really, really famished. Okasan starts to prepare breakfast, but Ayumi begins ravenously devouring the food and begins to show horns, just like the bakemono. Her parents realize that something is obviously wrong. Okasan throws some remaining soybeans at the horned Ayumi, and she just, poof, disappears. The movie ends as Okasan wonders what happened to her daughter.
Well, we'll discuss that just briefly, but first, let's start off with the technical details, shall we? Dan, how's this movie look?
I thought it looked pretty good. Setting is just basically just going to be like a house, a smaller part of the house, kitchen, living room, dining room kind of area.
They also go outside.
Oh yeah, briefly they are outside. Outside looks real too,
It does.
But I also liked the bakemono. Like the actual bakemono looked pretty cool. And there's a couple different scenes or different parts to it. We see like the bakemono almost just as a normal woman. And then as it gets close to Ayumi, you start to see like some really long teeth, horn things. And then when Ayumi becomes the bakemono, I thought that looked pretty cool too. She had some like crazy, like long teeth horns.
Justin agrees. And I do think that another thing I liked is this didn't really need a massive budget to kind of tell the story that it wanted to tell. So nothing looked cheap, like nothing looked bad. It wasn't like you looked at it and groaned because it looked fake. Like, no, the entire thing looked really nice. It was kind of shot, over the course of a night into the following morning. Shout outs to the eggs that Okasan was cooking. It looked proper. I definitely would have dug in. Maybe not as much as, the demon would have necessarily, but I would have feasted for sure. But Nico, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I definitely agree with all of that. The only thing that I think would be a marked improvement if they put like a little bit more would be like potentially the makeup of the up close version of Bakemono, but like that's me being the utmost nitpicking bastard that I can. It looked really nice.
Agreed. Now we got to go to sound. And I'm going to start off, and this is kind of, I don't want to be that guy, but there wasn't really a lot in terms of the score necessarily, but we did have some vocalizations by the bakemono that I really liked, actually. I thought they were fitting, they weren't super over the top, I didn't think. I thought they fit. But Dan, let me get your point of view here.
Yeah, agreed. There wasn't too much music in it. When Ayumi was laying out some food for the Bakemono, we got a little bit of like a almost like a Jaws kind of like a bomb. I don't remember if it was two notes or just one, but sort of a
Minimalist almost.
sort of, yeah. So that kind of helped build tension a little bit. I think once or twice we had like little string runs, which was kind of cool. I liked a lot of the Foley and everything, like during that kind of cooking scene. I liked
Yeah.
how detailed and close the cooking sounded. I thought that was a cool juxtaposition from the, spooky, scary stuff we just saw happen to all of a sudden very close sounding cooking breakfast kind of sounds. I thought that was kind of cool.
Now, once again, we often do this on the podcast. One of the best places to start is the end. So, how do you guys feel about that ending? Where the Bakemono is almost dispelled by the soybeans and the parents are left wondering what happened to their daughter. What do you guys feel about that?
I think it's real fucking goofy. Honestly, I think it's pretty funny. Just the way that we see her disappear, it reminded me of entering a painting in Super Mario 64. Like you can hear the like the sound effects just from that. And I know this is because they again didn't have like a super big budget, so they can't give us the Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good levels of disintegration. But just I thought it was unintentionally funny.
I wouldn't say funny, but I would say almost like whimsical. Maybe it's not quite the right word, but it was definitely a different like tone shift because everything was definitely serious and whatnot. And then, through the soybeans at Ayumi and she just kind of like poofed. That was whimsical, I thought, and almost like surprising, I guess. It's kind of like, whoa, I didn't really expect that. And just like, wait, what happened? I don't know. Of all the things that could have happened, I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
Mm. I took this, I guess, very differently because I thought it fit. Like I guess I didn't really see it as a massive tone shift or change. I thought it made kind of logical sense that when you threw the soybeans, something that was supposed to dispel the demon, that it would be dispelled. And I do think that oftentimes in movies and such, it's almost seeming too easy to just be able to do that and then the demon's gone because that never works in the movies the first time around. You know what I mean? But I do think that in this one, it just worked because it was meant to work. So I didn't quite take that. I took it more of kind of like for sure, a dematerialization, a disappearance. But I didn't really think of anything as, I didn't find it funny. I could see kind of the whimsical side of it. I thought it was a little bit more serious than that. But all in all,
Totally,
I feel you guys with
the
that.
scene, like the entire film, I would say, is a serious film. It's just like it came off that way to me.
Oh yeah, no, I feel you on that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I feel a little different. But
Oh yeah, totally.
what do you guys think happened to Ayumi?
I don't know. I think she's just kind of fucked. Like,
I mean,
she's
did
just gone.
the Bakemono eat her?
I think it must have because it was this sort of Yurei-looking figure at first when the Bakemono is a much taller woman, sort of adorned in white and stuff. I think it must have either eaten her and taken her form or like inhabited her. And when she got beamed, didn't look so good for her. So I think she's just fucked.
So one question I had, just kind of out of idle curiosity, you could say, is we've looked now at Yurei and we've also looked at, the Bakemono here. And I guess Bakemono is kind of a almost generalized term for, like a monster/spirit. And a Yurei is kind of a specific kind of spirit. I know that not all Bakemono are Yurei, but do you think some Yurei are Bakemono, Dan?
I would say probably some of them, but
Mm.
I don't know that I'm educated enough on it, to be honest with you. My 2 seconds of Wikipediaing does not really qualify me to answer that. So I'm going to cast Reflect and shoot that back over to you.
Oh, shit. All right, let me think about this right fast. Well, my 10 seconds of Wikipedia does not
5 times more than me.
Does not qualify me for that. I will say, and this is just from a very limited understanding, so I could be dead dog wrong here, but I do think that, okay. And that's just from my limited understanding. So I could be dead ass wrong there.
Oh,
Oh,
Oh, y'all don't feel bad for Donkey? Oh, you do. Okay, thank you.
for donkey.
So one thing that I do think is I think because the term Bakemono is kind of a more generalized one, I don't see why you couldn't, particularly because I feel like this specific apparition was very kind of, like Yurei-like in appearance. And I personally don't think if you were really getting haunted by a ghost or spirit that was similar to that, you wouldn't pause and be like, wait, stop. Are you here because of a tragedy in your past? Or are you just like, is this just who you are?
or are you just vibing?
Like, I don't think you'd ask that. So I feel like you might be able to get that word tossed around interchangeably at times. But again, this is my, this is just my perspective. I could be wrong. I could be very, very wrong on this. But another thing that I could be wrong on is tradition. And this film kind of has something to say about that. How do you guys feel about kind of almost the conflict of the tradition that the mother and father are trying to impart on their daughter and their daughter's kind of nonchalance about the whole deal? How do you feel about that? And I'm looking at you, Nico. I don't know why. I have this feeling about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that tradition is a definite wellspring of inspiration for tons of stories. So, just in a purely narratological sense, that makes a ton of sense that they would go that route. But portraying it as this sort of diverging point between the parents and the daughter, I think it is really just serving to create some narrative conflicts more than anything. It's I don't think this is necessarily going to be winning a Pulitzer Prize. Like, oh, really thinks you think, huh? And there's nothing wrong with that, but I don't think it's that deep.
Okay. Dan, your thoughts?
So I kind of agree in the sense that my answer is probably going to be more thought than was supposed to be put into it. But I like how they did kind of tackle tradition. I think that, for one, I like that tradition matters and there's a reason for it.
Totally.
And I like that the younger generation questions the tradition. And I also think it's interesting that part of the reason why Ayumi didn't really believe it is because she wasn't educated properly or whatever on it. Like literally she was told, hey, bad spirits do this to keep them away or you're going to get sent to bed. It's like, well, if you're trying to teach tradition, making your child do that and having a punishment for not doing it after 5 seconds of explanation isn't really the right way, in my opinion, to instill tradition and respect for that tradition, I guess. So I think if she had been...
Yeah, it's just bad parenting.
Yeah, I think if she had been brought up about, taught about it differently, then I feel like she would have understood a little bit better. But again, I think I'm probably thinking a little bit too much into it.
No, you weren't thinking enough, bro.
Uh-oh.
If you'd gone further, this is to go beyond.
Oh, okay.
This is to go beyond right now.
I just go
okay?
above, not beyond.
There you go. So I'm pull out my contradiction stick because here's what I shall say. Coming from a family and a culture that still has a lot of those traditions and like really, really believes in them still to this day, I feel like this is a massive thing that I could relate to, but also this
That's
isn't
awesome,
the first time.
man.
This isn't the first time Ayumi has heard about this. They do this every year. So she has heard about it before.
Fair. Okay, no, that's a good point.
And
I guess. I mean, it seemed like she was just learning about it. They were explaining it to her.
I think that was one thing where they had to do that for purposes of
Exposition
the
dump.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, for us. But it was kind of one of those things where, like detective walks. No, it's like Big Trouble in Little China when Gracie Law walks in for the first time. She walks in, don't be afraid, everybody. It's me, Gracie Law, journalist. And I'm like, well, thank you for introducing yourself for the audience. And it's just kind of like, yeah, like I feel like that's what that was kind of like.
It was so fucking good.
I think that what's being said about tradition here, and I agree with you, Dan, is that I think the younger generation does often question tradition, and we can see it nowadays, especially. It happened in our generation. It happens in the generation after ours, where a lot of things get questioned. And oftentimes, the bad guys oftentimes looked at as, well, I guess they're not that bad. I mean, look at our media. Look how many anti-heroes we have or stuff like that,
We sure do live in a society, huh, Justin?
We live in a society. But I don't know. I think that overall, I liked the message or the reinforcement that sometimes tradition is there for a reason. You know, like things could get happen to you.
Yeah.
So I do kind of like that. But on the flip side of it, can you blame Ayumi for what happened to her?
Not at all. She's a kid. Like, that's what kids do.
Dan?
I think that depends on whether the explanation for the Bakemono was exposition for us or not. Because I think if that's as much as she knew, then no, I can't blame her. But I think if they had done this every year, and I kind of do blame her a little bit. Maybe not 100%, because Nico's right, she is, just a kid. But at the same time, like, you might know better.
Nah, I'm gonna come in and say no, she deserved it, bro. She
Damn.
100% like was looking for that. What are you doing up staying up so late? What are you doing? Feeding demons? All right, you know what? You look for what you get. You look for what you get.
Don't you always do that?
No, because one time a bird shit on me and I wasn't even looking up. So here's what I have to say.
What?
She fed that monster out the fridge. That was the groceries they had.
Well, what are you about to do? If it's in your house, what are you about to do?
She invited it in.
Yeah, but after that.
Pelt it with the soybeans. You had the answer. Review the
facts.
material.
Yeah.
Okay, no
Yeah,
facts.
that's true.
Soybeans was right there on the dresser. Or not dresser, on the countertop. They ain't moved since last night. And she even refused to pelt the soybean. And I'm like, nah. Nope. I immediately, when her mom was like, I'm sending you to bed, I was like, bed? I would have put them soybeans. Yeah, that's right. But no, I mean, I would have put the soybeans in her hand and like thrown them on her behalf, bro. We are not inviting any demons into this household. No,
I wonder if that
absolutely
works.
not.
Soybeans thrown upon coercion.
Look, it's whatever. It's whatever. I'm more worried about the fact that the mom threw the soybeans and that shit didn't work because the demon still came anyways. Although I guess the demon was invited.
See, that's why I don't fuck with like spirits and Ouija boards and shit. I know this isn't a Ouija board, but like as a side note, like I don't fuck with that because I can be wholly and vehemently against it. But if one of my friends or somebody like fucks around, then I'm gonna get fucked. Like, nah, I don't do that.
For real. And I've been said
That's
it, yo.
a
Nico is the
DOTD
one.
stance right there.
Back in the day, Nico would have been the one. You would have
It's
been
true,
the
I
one,
would've.
Nico,
Yeah.
to fuck around and bring a Ouija board, and then
I
I would have been
would've.
the one to kill you.
Yeah.
That's what it would have been. I would have appeased the spirits, bro.
Yeah.
But,
Our math project would have come to life.
well, not speaking of, but it's time for the what would you do? So I'm going to put you guys in two shoes, and let's see what happens here. So first off, you are now Ayumi's age, and you're, in her role. So your family's like, hey, this is the tradition. You know about the tradition, and they give you some soybeans. Like, here, like this is for the bakemono. You pelt it and you ward that thing away. Would you? Or would you?
Hell yeah.
Oh, so you're immediately just going to pelt the soybeans?
Fuck yeah.
Fair, Dan. I approve. Me too. Nico, how about you?
I mean, if I was a kid and I was the same kind of smarmy little shit that I am now, I probably would be like, but why? Why are we doing this?
See, Nico, this is what happens, bro.
Yeah.
This is what happens.
I
You
didn't
dead.
know better as a kid. I'm just going by what
No.
I was like at that age.
Sometimes you got to listen to what your elders tell you, bro. Sometimes. So that's what I'm saying, bro.
Hey, man.
It's there for a reason. So Nico's dead, but let's reverse back now. Uno reverse. And I want to put you in the role of Ayumi again, but this time you've already fucked up by not throwing the soybeans, and the bakemono has shown up. Would you then think to pelt the soybeans, do you think? Or would you just keep giving it food, hoping you could befriend it?
I sure fucking wouldn't give it food. I'd be like, yo, you paying rent? No? Get out.
Dude, she invited it, though.
I don't think 5-year-old me would be like, yo, you trying to pay rent?
Okay, no, that's fair. Christ. Yeah, no, I would fully shit my pants though, because that would be the moment where it's like, oh, this is real, huh? All right, well, fuck my whole everything, I guess.
Bro, it would have been like, I want more food. And I'd be like, here, soybeans. Do you have to throw the soybeans, or can you just like give it to the soybeans? Like the one spirit in Spirited Away that just like gives people like the fake gold. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no face.
No face. Yeah.
I think that the throwing is like a symbol in and of itself. I don't
True.
think it can be given like an offering. I think you got to like really pelt it.
Like you mean it.
At least that's my interpretation of it. I have taken several scholarly classes on religions around the world and traditions thereof. And I did learn that the throwing mechanism, because remember, it's to throw the demon out of your house. So I think that's part of it there.
Yeet, yeet, demon, delete.
Yoke, scrote the ghost. So
Mine was relevant.
mine was too. So anyways.
Is it?
I'm going to abstain.
Smart.
I'm going to put you in the role of the parents. So you
already,
dispel
this can't happen, but let's go.
So you know what? No, it does happen, Nico. You know why? I pull a Detective Conan and I drink some youth restoring vitality juice. And
where is this going?
And I turn into a little kid and I'm like, Nico, you better let me live with you. And you're like, okay. So there we go. That's how it could happen. That's exactly how it could happen. Now moving on. So let's say that you threw the soybeans at the ghost and the ghost disappears. You're like, where's my daughter? What is your next step? What is the next step you would take?
I mean, I would probably try and fucking look for her. Step 1, say, where's my daughter? Step 2, look.
All right, and you don't find her. Like I'm saying, like, what is the next real big massive step you would take? What would you do?
You already know, bro. You gotta call the two OGs.
That's right, the goats.
Gotta let Ed and Lorraine Warren know, bro.
See, I actually throw up the X on that.
Oh?
I'm gonna have to call like somebody more versed in that lore. So whether I gotta call like an Omnioji,
Bonner?
Bro, he would show up. Oh, I see you have a ghost problem. Meh.
Bonner would look up and be like, we must sacrament this land and pelt like Mountain Dew on the grounds to like consecrate the land. But nah, I would definitely call like an Omnioji or like a priest or a holy man of the corresponding faith.
I call Vin Diesel.
So, well, he does help you find family.
Yeah.
But Dan, what would you do aside from Vin Diesel or Ed and Lorraine Warren? Never heard those three names back to back.
No.
I don't know what I would do. And what can you do? Like I'll look for my kid. She's not around. I'd pray hard as fuck. I don't know.
Fair enough. That was also on the scoreboard.
You would go
Pray hard as fuck.
in the motherfucking praying.
You had a choice. You could have said, I go hard in the motherfucking prayer. That was also acceptable.
Ah, that was the correct answer. Yep.
But let's go ahead and take a look at the reviews for this one. So again, Rotten Tomatoes doesn't really have a ton of horror shorts on there, but on IMDb, this is sitting at a 6.3 out of 10. So we can kind of look at this as almost a 63 out of 100. Now, obviously, Rotten Tomatoes is an aggregator, whereas this is more of a straight up score. We don't give a shit. So what would you, been a minute since I said that. So
Yeah,
what
right.
would you say you would rate this movie on a scale from 1 to 100? Where do you put it? And what are your just general thoughts?
I was overall impressed with this one. I think, considering its limitations, they did really, really well. And I like the fact that it got such, I don't know if I could say scholarly discussions out of us, but certainly something going there. I'm going to give it a 73.
Dan, your thoughts?
I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good film. I liked some of the build-up there. Again, I enjoyed the visual aspect of the Bakemono and Ayumi when she's kind of possessed. And the father, played by Daisuke, shout out to Dice, he's a friend of mine. One thing that I thought was pretty funny was I actually could see him playing the role of that father. Like some of the, like when he jumps
That's
out as
fucking
like the demon
cool,
mask, I was
man.
like, I feel like Dice would do that, you know? So that was kind of funny to me. I had a good time. I enjoyed watching it. I'm going to put it at an 80.
So I actually am in between the two of you. This one ranks up at a 78 for me. I thought this was just like so many traditions or tales from my childhood, where there's an overlying mythos or mythology, and then there's like an example of it happening in real life and messing up some kid, you know, like that's a that's a warning. That's a warning to you to, hey, I can't mess with this. I can't mess this up. And there was so many parts on this that I bonded with, flashbacks to my childhood, whether it's talking about, like a Jumby Bird, Sakunya, Dwayne, any kind of them kind of thing. So that's why I think I liked it so much. It was kind of a story of the bad that could happen. And that's sad to see, but hey, that's real life and ghost stories, So I liked it. I thought it was very, very rock solid. There wasn't like a ton that I would say I loved in my heart of hearts, but at the same time, I related to it and I didn't think it really had a lot of shortcomings. So 78 is where I put it. Now, question. Does this get the recommendation from us?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
I agree. Now, does it get the golden seal?
I'm going to say no.
Yeah, I don't think so.
All right. So this doesn't get the golden seal for approval, but it does get the recommendation. So if anything we've talked about sounds interesting, definitely check it out. Right now, you can actually watch the horror short on YouTube. It's on Alter's channel. So you can definitely go check that out. And once again, shout outs to the people involved because I liked it. I really liked it. But now, believe it or not, guys, we actually have a quick message from yet another sponsor from DOTD. For DOTD.
Say word.
Word.
Yep. Well, we'll be right back after this brief message. Somewhere deep in the Transylvanian mountains, a vampire slayer confronts their nemesis.
Finally, you fiend, I have caught you in your slumber. I will strike you down with this holy stake.
Bing! wait. You expected that to actually hurt me? That is so old-fashioned.
Hey everyone, Broad Stroker here with the new product from the maker of Ghost Gains, garlic steaks.
The steak is literally made of garlic. This isn't going to work.
Yes, it will, my mildly confused friend. Grown on the peak of the Appalachian Plateau, this garlic has been blessed by no less than 16 saints.
16 saints?
And will kill any vampire on contact. Give it a try.
Well, here goes.
Oh, fuck! Oh, God, I'm dying! And also, I can sense this garlic would make a great seasoning. Blech.
Another one bites the dust, thanks to garlic steaks.
Perfect. I've got another vampire to kill, but it'll be a breeze with garlic steaks.
Scary Lads assumes no liability. It's just garlic and epoxy. Please don't try this at home or anywhere.
And we're back. And don't go anywhere because we still have one more horror short to discuss. And this time we're talking about Don't Peek. This was directed by Julian Terry, starring Katie Setti as the protagonist of this, Alexander Anderson as Zozo, and that's pretty much it. So we open with a young woman playing Animal Crossing alone in her room. In the game, she's made a replica of her bedroom and she's got an avatar of herself in it. So in the game, she closes a drawer and then the drawer actually closes in her bedroom. At first, she kind of plays it off. She's like, that might have been a coincidence, or she thought she might have misheard. But things get a little deeper, don't they, Dan?
Yeah, so she kind of keeps playing the game, convinced that, everything is fine. But as she interacts more with the room in her game, objects in her real room respond in kind. She has her player click off a lamp and the bedroom goes dark. She opens and closes drawers and they also open and close in real life.
I mean, I don't know how I would feel if that happened to me, but Nico, what happens in the movie?
Yeah, I would shut off my Switch, turn it off, take out the batteries, take a hammer to the SD card, just like completely destroy that shit.
Yeah, I would go back to playing SNES.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, that's a real good foolproof way to do it.
Bruh.
But after investigating a bit further, she sees that there's a character named Zozo in the game who's peeking out through a doorway while still enveloped in darkness. He asks, "Will you let me out?" And our hero says no because, well, she has a brain. More fuckery happens, though, and as her terror increases, she accidentally hits yes when Zozo asks again to leave. So at this point, he manifests in real life under her covers, and there's a moment where it looks like she might be safe. But this is a horror short, so it ends with a cut to Zozo's gnarly, long teeth having-ass face.
And let's not forget the pivotal moment where he leaves the Nintendo Switch alone, though. He doesn't hurt the Nintendo Switch.
That's
Yeah,
right.
right. Slice that shit out from under the covers. Like, we're good.
So let's just go ahead and break this one down, shall we? Nico, you've already elucidated us so much, but why don't you tell us how this one looks?
It looks really good. I think the whole appeal of this short is just how simple it is. It's one room, and the rest of it is a view that is, it makes sense. We would be looking at a screen just because the character is as well. It would have been strange if it cut to a like in-engine depiction of the character's room, but because we see her playing, it makes more sense. So I think given the constraints of where this takes place and how the setting is designed, I think it looks great.
I agree. I think this is another example of a horror short made with, certain constraints. And we'll talk about it a little bit more, but I thought it looked good. I agree with you, Nico. I think having us kind of see the Switch TM in, our main character's hands and playing the game, it to me was smoother than, again, seeing like a, game capture or something like that. I really, really did enjoy it. I also liked the way that the kind of demon looked. I thought it looked pretty good.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? But Dan, any last thoughts or opinions there, sir?
So one thing that I was impressed with was actually a good chunk of the short is the viewers watching the game happening on the Switch.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of impressed at how clear and easy to see that was. Sometimes in movies when something is zoomed in on a screen, sometimes it might not be framed properly, or the text might be too small or something. But I mean, you could clearly see everything happening there. I guess that's a really small thing, but I was actually pretty impressed with that part.
Yeah, that's definitely a level of skill for sure, just in the filming and framing of it. And I guess a compliment to that is definitely the fact that the Nintendo Switch has such a great screen that, it's easy to see, even when you're looking over someone's shoulder on the metro. Not that I've done that. But I want to talk as well about, talking about Nintendo a little bit. We all know about the game Animal Crossing. And I feel like this kind of merges with how the movie was made. So maybe I should lead with that. The description of this movie, or one thing they say, is that this movie was made with 3 people, a Blackmagic camera, during the pandemic. Because this came out last year, which was 2020 for listeners today. And that was a wild time. I mean, that was literally like real pandemic hours when everyone was kind of locked down. So this used Animal Crossing, which was also a massive, massive hit during the pandemic. Y'all remember this. And in a way, Animal Crossing was almost kind of like a way for people to kind of live virtual lives when their real lives kind of sucked at the moment. So, Dan, I know you've already kind of spoken a little bit, but what does that say to the ingenuity of the cast to kind of use all those different elements, like Animal Crossing, and it's a pandemic, so we're going to film something that only requires, like one person, really? Like, how'd you feel about that?
I liked it. And I think this kind of goes back to a point I think I made a long time ago. And if I didn't, I think about it all the time anyways, is like, the most important part of a film or anything creative really is the idea that you're going with and good storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not so much about the equipment that you use or whatever. And the Blackmagic camera, I mean, I'm going to assume it was probably like the 4K cameras or something. It's like a $1,300 camera. Like, it's not like a super crazy expensive camera. 3 people, they used the setting well. I mean, it all took place in a bedroom, like not a whole lot going on, and it was all dark, but they did a good job with like lighting and making sure you could see what was necessary. But it was a good story, and the writing was well done, and the acting was well done. When you have those core elements, you almost can't go wrong, no matter what, almost. And I think that this short just kind of gets down to the core fundamentals of what makes a good film.
I agree. And I definitely like the fact that, as you said, money is not a cover for everything. You can have unlimited funds at your disposal, but if you're not creative, if you don't have the vision, then your end product is not going to be as good. And I really, really admired the end product for this. I read somewhere, and I don't know how true this is, that aside from certain costs, like maybe the camera, I'm not sure if they already had it. I was reading that the budget for this, I think it was on IMDb or something like that the budget was $60. So that's obviously not taking into account the camera and maybe some of the equipment they had. So I don't know how IMDb quite got to that number. But regardless, this clearly wasn't something that, they dropped like 50 grand on, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I really, really liked it. And Nico, I'm sure you feel a lot of the same ways about the creativity.
Wait, hold on. I just realized something. The budget was $60 allegedly. That's the cost of Animal Crossing. They bought Animal Crossing so they could make a movie about Animal Crossing to
Oh.
pay for Animal Crossing.
That's funny.
Yo, dog, we heard you like Animal Crossing.
This movie is not for profit, Nintendo.
But our podcast can be. No. This is something that I really did enjoy. I found myself just surprised at how much I liked the fact that it included a video game as the centerpiece here. And cards on the table, I've only watched people play Animal Crossing. I don't own a copy of it myself, but I think the fact that they got some sort of visual in there, some sort of actual indication or avatar of what Zozo looks like in the game as well, is either, hats off to your editing team, or just, again, what a great product, Nintendo. Please sponsor us.
One thing I will say as well, real quick, when I was talking with Bonner about this, he said it reminded him a lot of a creepypasta from
I can
when
see
you're
that,
a kid
yeah.
or something like that. And he's totally right, by the way. It does remind me of a creepypasta. And for those of you who don't know what a creepypasta is, those were like very short, scary stories that were on the internet back in the day. And they're still on the internet now, obviously, but they were very popular in my youth. So I don't know. I just kind of felt like this was almost like a real life creepypasta. And I quite enjoyed it. So now I want to ask, what would you do, right? And this is kind of like an open and shut kind of thing here. But let's say you're playing some Animal Crossing, and you start to be able to control shit in your room with the game. Just like turn off your lights and shit like that. So what would you do? How would you feel about that?
I would just not.
Just not.
I just wouldn't. All of that, I just wouldn't do
You
it.
just like turn it off?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. Dan would just shut off the switch.
Bro, so I would do what she did too late. There's a point after Zozo starts like appearing in the game where she like, I don't know, tries to go to sleep or some shit, like lays down. And I was like, nah, you too late for that. Like this monsters appears and you're like, okay, now I'm gonna go to sleep. Nah.
See, I feel like I personally would take my Switch. I would turn it off, take the game out, and wrap everything in tinfoil.
Oh yeah, because we did that.
And then afterwards, I would just like get rid of it. I need a new Switch. I'm about to cop the OLED joint because I can't do whatever's going on with this particular system and the Animal Crossing. I can't do it. And then I go play some Stardew Valley. But I mean, I don't know. Nico, any differences there from you?
So what I would do is I would get swayed by my penchant for shenanigans, and what I would do is I would make a replica of your room, Justin, and I would start fucking with all your furniture.
That'd
Bro,
be
when I
mad
do
funny, bro. That'd be funny as fuck though.
Right?
Hey, when I hit you with that counter spell, and then you won't even know what's about to happen, bro. I told you before, and I will say it again, bro. I will kill a chicken and work something on you, bro, if you fuck with me. So keep that in mind. Let's see who wins, the chicken or the Nintendo Switch. Let's see who wins.
Chicken and egg hates her.
Wild talk all around from the podcast, but I want to know, what would you rate this one? So taking a peek at IMDb, let me see. This is at a 6.8. So let's shoot it at a 68 out of 100. Where do we rank this internally? Dan?
I'm gonna say an 83. I really enjoyed this one. I thought it was really cool. It had a great kind of build up. I like the fact that they incorporated Animal Crossing, and maybe just because I'm a millennial and millennials play Animal Crossing, or that's what it's the kind of geared towards, anyways, our generation. But I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. Nico, how about you?
Yeah, I want to echo everything Dan said and just like a little bit more. I really, really enjoyed this, and I was surprised at how, just well made it was. I'm gonna give it an 84.
I'm gonna give this one a 75. Like, I enjoyed it. I liked it. I thought that, again, I think it's solid. I think it's something that, again, Nico, if you recall the Faraway Nights where we used to get the whole crew together and just like post up and watch horror shorts.
Yeah.
I mean, this would be something in the rotation. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Like, this would be something we would totally watch. So I liked it. I think it's very solid. I just wasn't, super wowed by any one aspect of it.
That's
And,
fair.
bonus points because it reminded me a lot of creepypasta from my childhood. So taking all that into account, does this one get the recommend from you guys?
Yeah.
Agreed. Now, golden seal from either of you.
No, I don't think
No,
so.
but I would like to nominate it for Diamond in the Rough solely because of its budget.
Hmm.
How do you feel about that?
I do not second the nomination.
I still
Okay.
think I'm going to say no. Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Fair enough, though, Nico. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Chancellor Nico. Unfortunately, your request was
Motion
rejected.
denied.
Please,
It happens.
It happens. It happens to the best of us. So that was Don't Peek. Any last thoughts in general before we wrap up this, double feature?
Yo, Gwen Stefani, if you're out there, hit us up.
Why not?
Why not?
If you agree with anything we've said, or if you are Gwen Stefani and want to hit up Nico, you can find us on social media. We're on Facebook, Don't Open That Door. We're also on Twitter and Instagram at DOTD Horror. You can also check out everything we've ever done, all our episodes, all our interviews on our website. That is dotdhorror.com. But till then, keep yourself safe, support indie horror, check out these movies. Both of them are on Alter. And as always, dear listener, don't open that door. Bye.